I'm sure you've heard about the press the internet never forgets, and who is better to tell this story other than Idris Mukhtar, a Kenyan young man from Nairobi's Korogosho slums who has rose through ranks to become one of the finest TV producers. Idris recently lost his job with CNN because of an innocent tweet he posted way back, even before he knew that he'll be working with this particular media house. This is Traktion, and my name is Pasil Telewa.
As part of our work as a media watchdog, we exposed his tweets, which led to his firing finally on Friday.
I woke up to all these emails and social Twitter trolls and notifications.
Team Hitler tweet was only posted several months before he was first hired by CNN.
It was about things that I had posted back in 2014. I just looked at them and I didn't know how to react to that.
Idris was shocked to be sacked due to an old tweet he made way back. He opens up about the biggest lessons everyone on social media should never ever forget.
Our guest today grew up in abject poverty. Born and raised in Nairobi's Korogosho slums to a Kenyan Somali father and an Ethiopian mother, Idris Ibrahim Mukhtar's dream was to be a journalist so that he can be a voice to the voiceless. A voice to people like his father, a security guard who was shot and killed by criminal gangs while on duty protecting his workplace. Idris was only 16 then. Children in Idris' situation within his kind of neighborhood hardly live to see their 18th birthdays. But he was lucky. He got a scholarship to pursue a journalism degree at USIU and later at the University of California, Berkeley. He worked with several international media outlets, the latest being his dream job as a news desk producer with CNN in Atlanta. He received several awards for his exemplary work. But just as his star was starting to shine brightest, he got a shock of his life, all in the name of a tweet he posted almost a decade ago. What really got him fired by CNN? Today, Pastor Telewa sits down with Idris Mukhtar to find out how a career birthed and sustained through years of hard work and dedication is crushed within minutes because of an old tweet. Use the hashtag #TweetingCars and let's keep the conversation going.
Hey, how are you, Idris? How are you doing? It's been a month after whatever happened. How are you feeling today?
To be honest with you, I feel great. Immediately after, especially after the article that came out, it's been a lot of positive feedback and people reaching out. And on my end, I'd already accepted what happened, moved on, and sort of strategized. But I'm feeling really great.
Perhaps before we talk about you moving on, I'd like to know what really happened for somebody who doesn't know what really happened.
Yeah. So, probably at this point, as you might all know, is that by May, immediately after graduating from UC Berkeley, I was hired first as a contractor for the international desk, and later on as a news desk producer for the same international desk. And my main work usually would be as an overnight desk producer with different regions, basically. Most of my role was with global, as a global producer, which means I'm produce the world news when the US is asleep. I and other teams from Hong Kong and Australia would be the ones manning news from all these regions. So on 13th of November, it was just like any day, of my shifts, and I had just been assigned again to be a global producer for the night. and I was working on a lot of like Middle East stories, and at the time the Israeli elections had just happened, and Netanyahu was to be he had been asked to form the government. So usually I would manage correspondence like in the field and produce for them from the desk. So I contributed to a piece of a story that was already ongoing, and it was sent out, it was published. And the next day, which was on Sunday 13th actually now, I woke up to, you know, like all this trolling on social media about these tweets. To be honest with you, first of all, I was shocked because like that was crazy. I first of all, I thought it was just about the article and people reacting to it, but it was more than
So
that.
hold up a little bit. You did your job on the 12th of November, but you tell me you report in the night shift.
Yes.
So does that mean you went back to the house, you know, that morning, and then everything was blowing up?
So no, on 13th, because I was working overnight, right? So the night of 12th up to the morning of 13th, right? So that's the overnight shift. So I finished my shift on morning of 13th, of course, went to bed, and then I woke up. I woke up to all these, like, you know, emails and social, like Twitter trolls and notifications, but most of them were just, you know, trolls and insults. And then there was an article apparently which was done about me, and everyone asking me like, is this what you represent at CNN and stuff? So I was shocked to see that. So I went immediately, like, read the article, and I saw these tweets, and yeah, it was about, you know, things that I had posted back in 2014. I just looked at them, and, you know, I didn't know how to react to that. Of course, there's always a company policy: you shouldn't post, you shouldn't reply if you're being trolled and such. So I waited until the next day to, of course, report it to my immediate supervisor, whom I had worked with on the previous shift. And it was just like, you know, that's normal, just forget about it. But yeah, a week later, yeah, that's when the pressure mounted, basically, you know, and these guys asked CNN to act, and they did a second article again, and yeah.
What exactly did you post, you know, a decade ago? Could you give me the contents of your tweets? You talk of these two specific tweets that, you know, totally ruined everything.
Yeah. So, you know, back in 2014, it was at the height of the World Cup final match between Argentina and Germany, and I was supporting Germany, you know. And so I tweeted something along, I don't know the exact, I have to check the exact tweet, but then I put something along that I support Team Germany because Messi supports Israel, something like that. So hashtag Team Germany, hashtag Team Hitler. So that was the problem, the Team Hitler reference. You know, to a lot of like Jews, you know, the reference of Hitler is, we all know, you know, with the Holocaust and all that stuff. But then at the time, you know, it was the hashtag Team Hitler, Team Germany was a trendy hashtag in the country. So I was just a young guy, you know, back at home, and in one of those DSTV places, and you know, just tweeting and following a trendy topic, not knowing that these might, you know, have some consequences. But then these guys, whoever did the if I can say, maybe smear campaign on me, or Doug did the whole investigation on me, honest reporting. They also found another tweet, which was an opinion piece from Al Jazeera, and I just replied. It was about the Palestine, you know, the conflict in Palestine and how Israel was bombing the country. And I just said Hamas, which the US and all these other groups term it as a terrorist organization. I said they have a right to defend themselves. They are modern day freedom fighters. That's the second tweet that I did. And they combined these two tweets and said, you know, unfortunately labeled me anti-Semite and supporter of Hamas group.
Mr. Ibrahim has worked for CNN since 2015, where he reported from Africa, for example, on President Obama's visit to Africa. And since then, he has worked for CNN up until last Friday. And as part of our investigative work as a media watchdog, we discovered several very troubling tweets, including one where he declared himself part of #Team Hitler. And he said Hamas has a right to their quote-unquote resistance against Israeli civilians.
After your supervisor taking up the issue, how did everything turn around?
I think with my supervisor, like he didn't think, or rather he didn't see the seriousness of it, because I told him like this is something I tweeted a long time ago, but he thought it's Twitter, you know,
It's nothing.
yeah, it's nothing. But then the group saw the pressure from the group, the pressure mounted, and this group contacted the HR contacted CNN, and then the HR from the New York office, of course, like reached out to me just to explain my side of the story, which I did. Yeah, and it was, I mean, sort of like an investigation to see what really happened. But then again, even after the call from the HR, these guys were calling for my firing or for me to resign or something like that. But with my supervisors, it wasn't like a big thing. So I think we didn't expect the action that CNN had to take.
So as I speak to you right now, have you completely been fired?
Yeah. I've been completely like sacked by 17th of November.
Are you serious?
The 17th of November, that's when I received the final call from CNN. And they told me, of course, after all this, what's going on. And with the company policies, unfortunately, they have to let me go and will no longer be working with you. That was the call.
How do you feel about their verdict? Don't you think it's a little bit harsh, and especially the fact that that whole incident happened more than 6-7 years ago, even before you knew that you'd ever set your foot there?
I mean, exactly, yeah. Like, I think, to be honest with you, yes, it was really heartbreaking, to say the least. Especially like seeing the kind of journey and where it came from, and to this point, like I never imagined that one day I'd be, like sitting in, just even in the US, like working with an international media, and maybe even doing the kind of stories that I was able to do. No, I never expected that. So it was kind of like heartbreaking, but at the same time, I'm a believer, and I know everything has a beginning and an end. So unfortunately, it was not the end that I was expecting, but regardless, it's the end for me. So heartbreaking, but life has to move on, right?
Legally, from the advice you've received, do you think that is the best way to handle the issue?
I think definitely not. But I'm not the first one, In 2019, CNN fired another photo producer who also tweeted something that was against like the Israelis or the Jews when he was 16 years old. So and even these honest reporting, these guys, for them this is a success story. Unfortunately, it's a pro-Israel media watchdog, and this is their work. So for them, it's a success story. And CNN, New York Times, all these international media organizations, it's basically like, if I can say, I'm not sure how much of this I can say, but it's also like who controls these places, or it's about corporate interest at the end of the day, right?
After what happened recently, do you ever question, that it all happened because of who you are and where you came from?
Unfortunately, yes. I think being black, being Muslim, definitely has a reason to do with it. And also, unfortunately for these guys, they thought I was like some big deal, with, they say, producers who have a political agenda. But over the years, even before this role as a freelance producer for CNN, as a field freelance producer for CNN, and they sent me out to all these different places. In 2019 they sent me to cover the Ethiopian Airlines crash, and mainly also because of my connection with Ethiopia, and all of these at that time didn't matter. Like whatever I did previously didn't matter. And so again, like Honest Reporting saw me as a producer who can influence what goes out. I don't think like I can do that on my own. Definitely there's always these steps to be followed. I have to check in with my SNE, like the senior news editor. I have to check with all these people. So I have seen other, if I can say like there's been a lot of like other white reporters who've done things, tweeted things in the past, or even said worse things than what I did,
and they got away with them.
They got away with it, and just an apology was enough.
There are plenty of great things that you've done, from you covering the Ethiopian crash and so many other stories, on the news desk and out in the field. Do you think sometimes as reporters, as journalists, people don't take their time to, conduct a detailed assessment of who you are as an individual, what you've been able to accomplish, as opposed to just looking at that specific mistake or, mishap that happened?
I think so, definitely. And I think the world that we live in right now, and especially here in the US, the term anti-Semite is often being weaponized by certain people. Like, if you don't agree, for instance, with the policies of Israel as a country, for instance, you are an anti-Semite. Like, there are people who would say that, but come on, let's be honest. If I don't agree with you as an individual, does it mean I don't agree with you? Like, there shouldn't be a blanket condemnation, basically, of accusation of just because I don't agree with you as person like that means I don't agree with you and your entire family. No, it doesn't mean that. We're just football fans tweeting these, and there's a lot of like young people even today who tweet things just out of, if I can say, ignorance. Or like, for instance, in Kenya as a country and as a society, we do things that if you did it here in the US, maybe perhaps a huge chunk of the country would be cancelled today, because we do things out of like just for fun. We see it as very like normal and mundane, but then you come here, I don't think you can get away with it, but on our end, it's a thing that we just do just for fun, or without thinking about the bigger picture. And that's why I feel like at the time of tweeting that, I didn't think about the consequences or even the bigger picture, if I can say.
So perhaps after what you've gone through, you must be having something to talk about the role of social media on professionalism, because mostly in the past, people have wanted to separate the two and just say, this is my personal opinion, this is what I have on social media, and this is my work. What do you have to say after what you've gone through, and what would you advise people who have those kind of thoughts and opinion?
When you join these companies, even when I was joining, especially at the desk here in the US, before hiring you, there's going to be like a very rigorous background check process. So where you have to give out all your social media accounts. They'll do even, the courts look at any criminal record. So if honestly, and I mean, the thing is that for the purpose of this is just to check like who are you as a person, criminal background. If I passed that, or if you passed that, if you don't have a criminal record, there's nothing that's outstanding.
I mean, what does this say about CNN and their hiring process? I mean, do they not know, not check, or simply don't they care about his outspoken public views? We have to say they're outspoken, everyone sees them.
I agree. Notably, his Team Hitler tweet was only posted several months before he was first hired by CNN. But Mr. Ibrahim is only the latest anti-Semitic journalist we exposed. Over the last few months alone, we uncovered 5 anti-Semitic journalists.
So for employers, there should be a separation of like the past because we're human beings at the end of the day, we develop. That's why a 20-year-old you shouldn't be judged for mistakes you did like 10 years when you're 10-year-old or even 8 years old. It's not fair. It's inhumane, because as human beings, we grow, we evolve, we change opinions, we learn and unlearn, right? So I don't agree if people, and especially employers, judging the employees with what they said in the past, for instance. It doesn't mean that you hold the same views, you know?
And it's okay actually to change views, because it might be for the view 10 years ago and the same view might not apply to you right now. Have you been in contact, or rather in understanding of what the laws in the US talk about those kind of things? Are there any specific laws set up in place to, you know, to defend people like you or people who have gone through cases such as you?
I haven't looked much into that, but the legal advice that I sought, also for me, because I was here on, it was work visa and stuff, so they're kind of like complex issues around that doesn't allow me to seek sort of retribution, if you can say. But then cancel culture is huge in the US. I'm not the first one. I think it was in 2020, and this was even just a Jewish young reporter fired from her work 2 weeks after being hired. So the kind of contract, the thing is also that the kind of contract that you sign, that it sort of protects the employers. And because the thing is that even there's certain things about policies and even social medias that you have to sign that protects the company on itself.
I'm aware that you've gone out there to publicly, give your apology to the Jewish community, the Israeli or whoever you felt you had wronged. And perhaps you would fill me in what's really, compounded of your apology.
It took a lot of time to reflect and time to reach out to people, and also seeking not just forgiveness but also seeking education, because like I said, we learn and unlearn and relearn, right? So I reached out to them, to the Israeli embassy and the deputy ambassador in Atlanta, and also the Jewish communities in Minnesota and the Jewish community in Berkeley.
I'm aware also that you've received some awards, in the course of your profession, that they've been retrieved, taken away from you. Is that true?
No. This Israeli organization tried to retract those awards. Tried to reach out to the organizations to try and retract the awards and stuff, but unfortunately, most of the organization were not in support of that.
Thank you, and say hi to your family for us.
I will definitely do that. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much.
I know what is on your mind right now. Yes, your profile bio statement, that specific word on your social media account, that your views or opinions are only yours and not your company's. Guess what? When everything turns the other way, there will be no defense. And if you must post on social media or tweet, think right ahead, because you might just not know what you're getting yourself into. So much to learn in too little time, right? Catch the full interview on ktnplus.com. And thank you so much for watching Globe Traktion. Tune in again next Saturday and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on KTN News for more stories that shape global conversations. Remember, as I usually say, if you got a story you want to share with us or partner with us perhaps, reach us through globetraction@standardmedia.co.ke or DM us on our social media platforms @globetraction. You can also give me a follow on Pasil Telewa on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of the conversation happening around the globe and updates and behind the scenes videos. See you soon.